Hello everyone and welcome back to the Stitch Sessions. We've got a super fun and quick tutorial for you today. We are working on this twist headband. You guys have seen this everywhere for the last couple of seasons. If you are new here, by the way, my name is Karen and I love all things to do with crafting with crochet. So I'm so glad you decided to click on the video and join me today. And to my regular Stitch Sessions family, welcome back. Love having you come hang out with me. So in today's tutorial, we are going to be using the floret stitch, which is one of my favorite stitches to use to create a little bit of texture. So we're going to take the basic premise of the twist headband and we're going to give it a little bit of texture just to create a bit of interest there. And all it is working one long rectangular panel, and you're going to do it until you get to the circumference of your head measurement or whoever you're making it for. And then we're going to sew it together. And that is the trick with creating the twist look. And I'll get into that as we get into the tutorial. So let's just gather our materials together and let's get started on crocheting your very own twist ear warmer. Okay, so for this project, the yarn I'm going to be using is one of my favorite yarns to use, and that is Lion Brand's Heartland yarn. Today I'm going to be using this sagey green color. Now you're not going to need more than one skein to work up your ear warmer. But again, if you're going to create a few gifts, you might want to pick up a few skeins. It is considered a medium 4-weight yarn. And so for the hook size, I'm going to be using a 6mm hook, which is also known as a J or a size 10. And I just feel like for this yarn, it just creates a beautiful drape as well as giving it a nice cushy look with our stitch we're going to be using. As always, make sure that you have a yarn needle on hand to sew in your ends. And as always, make sure you have a handy pair of scissors to snip off your yarn. So let's get started creating our headband. You will also need to have a tape measure, as you're going to need the measurement of the head you are making the ear warmer for. So we're basically going to need the head circumference in order to know how long to make our panel. Now I do have a hat sizing chart, which will do you just fine for this project, on the Crochet Crafty website, and I will leave a link for it in the description box down below so you can just quickly click on it and look for the measurement you're looking for. So I happen to be making mine for an adult, so I know that that head measurement is 22 inches. If you're looking for a child or a young adult, then just reference that hat sizing chart on the website. So we're going to begin by placing a slip knot onto our hook. Now the floret stitch is going to be done in multiples of 2, and then I always add one more chain at the end. So we're going to chain up an odd number of stitches. So for me, I'm going to chain up 17 stitches. And this is a nice length that will cover my ears because after all, it's an ear warmer. So if you find that that's a bit bulky, you might want to chain up a little bit less or chain up a little bit more if you are using yarn that's slightly lighter weight than the medium 4. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 17 chains. And there is my 17th stitch. So I've got something that looks like this, okay? And of course, I always want to make sure I don't do that initial chain too tightly. If you are a tight crocheter, I always recommend going up a hook size when you're doing your initial foundation chain, okay? So we're going to begin with row number 1. And so we're going to find the second chain from our hook. Now remember, we never count the loop that is on the hook. So we have 1 and we have 2. Into that stitch, you are going to slip stitch. And because slip stitches are fairly tight, they're the shallowest stitch in the crochet repertoire, you want to make sure to keep this stitch nice and loose because we are going to have to work back into it. So we don't want it to snuggle too tightly. See how I'm pulling it up there? So our first stitch is a slip stitch. And now we're going to go into the next chain, and into that chain what we're going to do is a double crochet. So you're going to yarn over, insert to pull up a loop, then yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through the next 2 loops to create our typical double crochet. So there's quite a disparity in height. So you have the slip stitch and you have the double crochet. These 2 stitches are we're going to alternate all the way down the chain. So now into the next chain there, we're going to slip stitch. And so you'll notice when you slip stitch, that's going to crunch down the double crochet stitch. And on the other side, you can't see it quite yet, but that is what's going to give us the texture to our ear warmer. Into the following chain, you're going to do a double crochet. So you're just basically alternating between slip stitches and double crochets. So I'm going to do it one more time. Into the next chain, I'm going to slip stitch, nice and relaxed. And then into the following chain, I'm going to do a double crochet. So you can see it's creating a little bit of bumpiness there, and that is totally normal. So you're going to do that all the way to the end of your chain. Your last chain should be a double crochet stitch. Once you've gotten there, I will meet up with you and take you on to row number 2. Okay, so I'm just coming to the very last chain, and into that chain, I'm just placing a double crochet stitch. So row 1 is complete, and you have something that looks like this. And so it's natural that it's going to scrunch down a little bit. And I always like to put this up against my ear and make sure that it covers the ear on both sides. And if it doesn't, this is the time to take this out and add more chains. But I think you're going to be pretty safe with this if you're making this for an adult. So see, when you turn it over to the other side, you can already see how those double crochets get crunched down a little bit and they puff forward. Just so cute. Now we have used this stitch in a few other projects, and actually I'll leave a link for them in the description box down below, because I know sometimes people want to see how this stitch looks in a variety of different projects. Okay, let's go on to row number 2. So this is how you're going to repeat every row from now on. So you're always going to chain 1 and turn your work. And into the very first stitch, which is right there, you will always place a slip stitch. Just like that. So the first stitch is always a slip stitch, and then you will proceed into the next stitch and double crochet. So you're just going to follow what you did in row number 1 and just alternate between slip stitches and double crochets. So you just want to turn over. If you have a hard time seeing it, just make sure to turn over to see the top of your stitches so you can see that's the next stitch there. So I'm going to place a slip stitch. Now, because this is done in even number of chains, essentially what's happening is you're always going to double crochet into a slip stitch from the previous row, just like that. And then you will always slip stitch into a double crochet of the previous row. So they always stack nicely one on top of the other. And again, this is the repeat that you're going to do all the way to the end of your row. And of course, at the end of every row, you will end with a double crochet. Okay, so I'm coming up to my last stitch here, and this is the slip stitch of the previous row, so it's very easy to miss this, so make sure that you don't. So you want to insert your hook, try to pick up both of the loops, because that's really the turning chain of row number 1 if you can. I'm trying to pick up both those loops there. There we go. And we're going to double crochet into that stitch, just like that. Okay, so we've now completed row number 2. So there you go. Now you can start seeing beautiful texture being formed. And the cool thing is this is reversible. So once you've done your long strip, doesn't matter which way is the inside or the outside. And that is all. So now when you go into row number 3, you're going to repeat row number 2 until you get your desired length. So as always, you chain 1, turn your work, and again, right into that first stitch, you will slip stitch. and then into the next stitch you will double crochet. See, pretty easy. I'm sure you guys have memorized your pattern now. So slip stitch and double crochet. And that is going to be your repeat for this project. So this is where I'm going to leave you. I'm going to go ahead and create my long strip. So like I said, I'm doing this for an adult. So I am going to do this until I get a total of 20 inches. Okay. Now, let me just double check for those of you that are on metric. 20 inches is just under 51 centimeters. Now, the average adult head circumference is actually between 20 and 22 inches. Anytime I'm doing things like hats or ear warmers, because there's a lot of stretch and give in these types of projects, I always size it down. So if my average head circumference is 22 inches, I'm going to do my ear warmer for 20 because it is going to stretch. And especially like once you start throwing it in the wash and things like that, if you do it at 22, it will stretch out. And I learned that a couple years back when I made my brother and his wife, I made them matching hats for winter. It was like a toque, and I made them to an average, adult head measurement. And then I saw him one day and he had rolled it up like 4 times. I thought, it's supposed to look like a slouchy beanie. How come you're rolling it up so much? And he said, well, it's gotten so loose, it doesn't sit on my head, like it's too big. So that's when I realized you've got to size them slightly down so that they sit nice and snug on the head. So that is why I'm going to do mine until I hit 20, whatever length you're doing yours for. So if you're doing it for a child or a young adult, for example, just shave off an inch. I like to shave off 2 inches because there's going to be a lot of stretch going on there. So once you've got your length, I will meet back up with you here, and then we're going to put our headband together with that twist and you'll be good to go. So I will see you back here shortly. Okay, so I have finished my rectangle and I've gotten the length that I want. I actually took an additional inch off. So I actually have 19 inches here, and I was testing it out because this has a lot of stretch in it already. You see that? It was feeling already too relaxed on my head. So you want to make sure that your ear warmer does sit snugly on your head. So you always want to kind of measure it slightly down in order for it to stretch. So there we have it. And so now you can really see the texture showing through so beautifully. Okay, so I snipped off my yarn. There was nothing special to be done. Some people might do a row of single crochet at the end just to kind of give it a nice even finish. But because we are going to sew this to the other side, I didn't really think it was that big of a deal. But I did leave a very long tail. Okay, and here is where all the magic happens with creating that twist. So you're gonna lay your panel here down, and what you want to do is you want to just take one side and you want to fold it so that it's perfectly in half. Okay, so I just happen to have the tail on this side here, and then you take the other end and you also fold it perfectly in half. So there's the tail there. And what you're going to do is you're going to marry these two together. So all we're going to do is we're going to kind of sneak in here with one flap of this side into the flap of the other. And so you want to make sure, sorry guys, there's all kinds of tails hanging out here. Let me push this one down. We can weave that one in later. So essentially you've got 4 edges here that are sandwiched in. Okay, just like that. So my front panel here, we'll call it, is making a U shape this way, and my back panel is making a U shape this way. So it's getting nestled into there. And that's essentially how you're going to position them. And then with your long tail, you're now going to sew all 4 of these edges together. So let me just actually, what I should have done is thread my yarn needle here first. just like that. So it's ready. And I'm just gonna turn my work here. So you might wanna just do that one more time. So I just wanna make sure that it's nicely folded in half. My other one is also nicely folded in half because you want them to be nice and even. And because this tail, I really want the one with the tail to be on the outside. It could be in front of you or behind you. Okay, and then I just sneak this back end in here to sandwich between there. And then I fold this one over here. Then you just want to adjust it. Now, some people might actually want to pin this down first. And if you're super new, I would say go for it, because that's just going to stop anything from moving around while you're doing your sewing, and it stays nice and consistent. You just want to make sure all 4 of these edges, you can see them, 1, 2, 3, and 4, because we're going to be sewing through all 4 of them. Okay, so I'm going to start from back to front since I'm here. So I'm just going to pick up this last loop here on this side, and then I'm going to go in through here. Now see, it would be easy to just go here, but we've got this little layer right here. So I want to make sure to pick that up and then go across to the back. So I've got all 4 layers. I'm going to pull my yarn through. Just like that. And then I'm going to just go from the front to the back. So I'm just going to do basically like a nice easy mattress stitch. You can whip stitch this. The only thing is, because this is so bulky, I find that with a whip stitch, it's just going to pull this bulk up. That's just my personal kind of feel. So I like to use kind of the mattress stitch. So now I'm going to find a loop in from the front. So I've picked up the front. Now I'm going to go into the second layer right there. And then I'm going to go into the third layer right there, and then into the fourth. So you just always want to make sure you get every single layer. And then I'm going to just start kind of snuggling it in. And then I repeat. I'm going in from the back into all of those layers and then coming out through the front. So it's pretty straightforward. And I'm going to do this front to the back, back to the front, all the way until I get to the end. What I like to do is I like to go back a second time. Then I'll do the same thing going back, just to make sure that it is nice and secure, because this is going to have a lot of wear and tear on it, taking it off and putting it on. So you want to make sure it does not come undone. So that's what I'm going to do. And then our twist ear warmer will be almost ready to wear. There'll be just one more thing that I've got to show you. So go ahead and stitch up all 4 of these layers, and then we will take it from there. So I'm just finishing up my second round here. So I went up, and then now I'm sewing it back this way again, just to solidify it, just like that. So now that I'm at the end, I'm just kind of looping it a few times so that I can then tie a knot. Again, I want to make sure it's nice and secure. So I'm going to kind of knot it through there. And then again, okay, just like that. Create another little knot there. And then I'm just going to snip my yarn. Now, before I do that, just want to make sure, yep, it's all nice and secure in there. I'm going to snip my yarn. And of course you want to weave in those little ends, but here is where the real magic happens. So now you're kind of stretching it there. So you can already see it has that twist effect, but this is kind of what we would call now the wrong side, because you can see where it's been sewn in. So what you want to do now is just turn your headband the other way, and voila. This is where you see the real pretty effect of the twist. And that is it. So it really looks like it's twisting, and there's a tail there I gotta sew in there. But that's it, guys. You see how quick and easy it is? And just by understanding where to sew those edges in, you've got this super pretty little twist ear warmer. Or you can just wear it as a regular headband if you like. It's really, really fashionable. Very fast to make, and you can add this to any gift. If you're not making it for yourself, you can whip these up. I generally do several of these in a day. I sold these recently at the craft fair I was at. So these twist headbands are really, really popular. So I hope you enjoyed making this. I hope you enjoyed revisiting the floret stitch. If you decide to use a different stitch to create your ear warmer, let me know what it is. Drop me a comment in the comment box down below and let me know. I like using stitches that have a little bit of texture for things like that. I just find it gives it a little bit more of a cushy, cozy feel. So if you have any other questions about this project, make sure to leave them for me in the comment box down below. And you guys know you can always reach me directly at info@crochetcrafty.com. And remember, come and visit the website, crochetcrafty.com. So much fun stuff waiting there for you. Free written patterns, all kinds of things. Sign up for the newsletter. It's a whole party over there, so make sure you come on over. Also, don't forget, come and say hi to me. I'm on the socials of Facebook and Instagram at The Stitch Sessions, and I love it when you guys tag me in the projects that you've created. And there we have it, guys. So I hope you've enjoyed this last minute holiday gifting crochet idea and or project. And remember that over the holidays, we're going to have some bonus videos going live between Christmas and New Year's. So stay tuned for that. There's another project, another regular Wednesday project coming up before the end of the year, and then a whole bunch of bonus videos. We've also got our year in review for our crochet series for 2022. And we're going to have our sneak peek into our crochet series for 2023. And lastly, but not least, we are almost at 10,000 subscribers. So if you are new to this channel, you enjoy this video, I invite you to press that subscribe button. Help us reach 10,000 before Christmas, and we are going to be doing a giveaway, a 10,000 subscriber giveaway. I'm so excited about this. It's one of our first ones we're doing, and I'm really looking forward to it. So what I recommend is make sure that you go back and watch this video here. That is our Christmas crochet tour for 2022, and I talk about the giveaway in that video and what you need to do to enter to win. So there you are, guys. Happy holidays, happy crocheting, take good care of yourselves, and I will see you guys in the next session. Bye-bye.